Hello everyone, this is Titus from stocktraders.net. I want to talk about trading news. I had a lot of questions regarding the product, how I use, and what kind of settings do I have for it. So this is a long video to talk about the platform. I have been using trading news for about 15 to 17 years. Um, Pretty much once I come to my office, it is the first thing I actually, even before I open my get my charts up, open my trading platform, the first thing that I get up, it's opens trading news. I like to see what's going on, what happened overnight, what happened to my swings, to my holdings, and I take about 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes every morning going through it, and it's impossible for me not to do it. It's like it's a ritual, and if I try to do something else before I start open, trading news, it feels like there's something missing. I need to do that way, so I'm informed and I know what's going on in the market. This is their website, and here we go. This is the platform. So you have when you want to listen to the feed, you just click on this area and if there's any news coming off, there we'll be talking, and you can do a live test just to make sure that you have a connection, everything is working well.
This is a 24-hour live broadcast test channel.
And it's funny because when she says,
This is a 24-hour live broadcast test channel from the
she says this is a 24-hour broadcast test channel. But every time I hear it, it sounds like she's saying this is a 24-hour broadcast sex channel. um, but it's a test channel. So just make sure that you have, the right feed and everything is running well. Okay, so how do I use it? For example, let's say that let a couple more things about trading news that I like. I have another service that I use as well for news, right? And I've had six or seven throughout the last 20 or so years, and I just stuck with these two. One is a streaming news service, and which is called Newswatch, and of course Trading News. The reason each one has its purpose, but the reason that I prefer Trading News, the reason that it's my favorite, it's because, for example, this is Newswatch. Best thing to do is just show the screen, right? So this is Newswatch. So at any given moment, let's say in a minute, there are times that in one single minute on Newswatch, I can have literally 60 to 90 headlines in 1 minute. So that means like every half a second, every three quarters of a second, there's a headline coming, right? Especially on top of the hour, top or bottom of the hour. So what happened is it's impossible to be reading, processing every single of these headlines and making a decision on how to trade them because you see something and then there's another one that comes that seems more interesting and then another one that seemed more interesting, and in the end it turns out that none of the three it meant anything really. So it's you spend some time going through this, where with trading news they actually break down, they digest the news. And by digesting, I mean is they just choose whatever is relevant for the market and whatever is relevant for the stock price. So in a few, just in simple words, just whatever is going to make the stock move, or the perception that will make the stock move. It doesn't mean that they're making any market calls or anything. It's just something that's important for that ticker, right? So and that's what I like, because I don't have to be reading the headlines. I can just listen to it and keep going with my business, watching the charts, watching level two, and doing everything else that talking to people in the room on stocktraders.net, and just going by it. It's just like I have that sense just on by listening to them, and it frees my time, my eyes, to go ahead and do other things and to actual trade, right? So with trading news here on this tab, It shows the headlines, so you show pretty much every single headline. And you see today's Friday, March 16th, 2018, and you can see pretty much you have a headline every sometimes 2, sometimes 10 minutes apart. And of course, today is a slow day. Normally, it's a lot more than that. But every single one of these news that came up are somewhat relevant, somewhat important, right? Um, Calendars. That's what I read every morning when I see here. Now it's almost 3 p.m. Eastern time, so we don't have the morning report from this morning anymore. It's already showing for Monday. But I see, for, let's say Monday morning when I get in here, or even after the close today, or at some point today, what's going on Monday, who's trading, who's going to be paying a dividend, if there is any major conference, and if it, so which stocks is going to be participating in that conference, if there's earnings uh, before the open, these are the companies they're going to be announcing, and after the close, these are the ones, and so on. So this is really important because especially if there's something major, some major unemployment um, number coming up, you want to be aware of these things, especially if you're trading futures or you in a pretty relevant overnight or swing or intraday position. You don't want to be exposed by not knowing that there's something major that'll be coming up, because sometimes, of course, nothing happened, but there's a couple times, a couple weeks ago, we had unemployment numbers that the market just completely took off, right? And if you're short, you'll be like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? What happened? And that's why I have a lot of people that don't have news. They're like, what happened to the market? And it's right there. Trading news announced. They say, you can read, it's right there. And they also warn you 1, 2, 3 minutes before the number is announced, and then seconds. So numbers will be coming out in a few seconds, and when it's delayed, they tell you it's delayed. Same thing for IPOs. So stock should start trading at it's a set price and should be open a certain time. So it's just great. It's like almost like have an assistant next to you that tells you exactly what you're looking for, what you need to be able to work, right? So in the calendar, then you have the events, which is pretty much similar. Um, it breaks down alerts for today and tells everything is going or is happening at that time. That was 7 a.m. And for example, today there's a quadruple witching expiration. So we know either at the open or at the close, we're probably going to have some volatility. So we want to be watching anything that runs up, big spikes up or down, because this tend to normalize and get within range after a few seconds, a few minutes of getting that change in price and the volume sometimes to reach strike prices. And so especially being a quadruple witching, um, that's something that I like to be watching. So I will be watching that at the close today. And then you have everything that's going on, same kind of calendar, a little more detailed. And here at the bottom you have also on the area that says in the rags, especially on Monday, it talks about whatever was on Barron's on the weekend or Investor Business Daily, the highlights you get right here in this area. So there's so much information that it's interesting because you know normally exactly where you want to look at and what you're looking for. And you just to know what you're doing when you trade, you need to be informed all around, right? It can be have done. Again, you don't want to be in a position, long or short, and just be exposed like a sitting duck for a major market event that it was already scheduled and you just didn't know that was going to happen, right? So there's no excuse. And if you have, for example, if you're in a stock and there's a certain strange or unusual movement, you can click on this tab, ask the desk, and you ask them. You just send a message and ask, hey, what's going on with XYZ, and they reply fairly fast. If if they know something, they do, or if they don't, they say they don't know, but they reply pretty fast. 13F I don't use. Morning report, pretty much the same as calendar. Um, and profile, for example, let's say if you have a list of stocks that let's pretend you do some swings, right? Or a stock that you just got in and you just want to make sure something happened to it that you will be aware and know um, it's gonna just be very obvious to you if there's something going on with this stock. You can just come to profile. Let me see a couple of and create a portfolio. So what you do, you come add a portfolio and let's just call swings and you can change, you can put like a highlight color, let's say green. Okay, then you add, let's say PBR, and then you add Mattel. Okay, then you add, oops, PBR, Mattel, sorry about that, submit, and then you say portfolio. Then when you go to headlines, there you go. So every time there's a headline with a stock that is added to your portfolio, it's going to come up in highlights. So what happens is like, and that stays until you delete the portfolio, right? Or delete the ticker from the portfolio. So what happens when you sit in the morning and when you leave for a few hours during the day, when you come back, you can either do a search by the ticker, let's say Matt, it comes right there, or you can just scroll and see if there were other headlines with that ticker for the rest of the day, right? And again, you can just come also, but if you have 10, 20 stocks that you watch, you don't want to do one by one, right? So it's just easier to scroll. Let's say stock XYZ, let's say, for example, the IBTX, okay, is moving and you don't see anything recent in there. You just can go, let's do XNet, that's easier. You
1 hour
just do a
now, 1 hour.
search.
The U.S.
Oh, they're
cash equity
talking.
close, the Dow up
I don't
107,
know if you guys
Nasdaq
can hear
flat,
this.
the S&P up 6. Transports up 0.8%, and the Russell 2000 up 0.5%.
Okay.
Yes.
Oops. Let me go back here. All right. Okay, he's done. So he was talking about that we have 1 hour left into the close and a, f- a few market metrics. You know how much the Dow and Nasdaq were up and so on. So so going back to XNet. There's no news, last news a couple days ago, but anytime you want to hear or see anything about any stock, you just go back here and it's right here. You can just hover over the the headline and just shows, or you can click and then shows pretty much the whole story down here in the bottom, right? And it's a little more detailed and has also some company metrics right here. And then talk about holders and what the company, what they're about, what they do. So that's one. Then we go back to headlines. And this window is a browser, right? So you can make pretty much any size you want. It doesn't have to be, I'm just showing here the whole screen just because it'll be easier for everybody to see. But you can make even smaller by click here on watch window. Then it's just like a little tiny window that you just could put anywhere you want on your desktop, right? So I'm gonna kill that. So let me see, I have a few notes that this is pretty much like a quick overview on how to use the platform, and you don't need to have this up. You can just move over and the area disappears. I'm just going to leave it up here just for a matter of this video. So how do I use trade news mainly? I already said that I like to just listen to any throughout the day as the headlines come up, and sometimes I have the headset on as I listen. Sometimes I just have my speakers. So um, it's almost like if the market's open, if trading news not on, it's like there's something that is not quite right. Something is missing. It's like I feel a little disconnected because if something major happens, can be in a stock that I'm in, and trust me, sometimes you're going to be in a stock and something is going to happen to that stock where you're in it, and you do want to know because Well, it happened a while ago. I was long in a stock. Oh gosh, I don't remember which one was. Cause if you guys know me, you know how much I trade, how busy I am most of the time. So, anyways, it was like $14, and it started to move. There's this huge volume coming in. It was 14.30, 14.40, 14.50, 15, and I'm like, is this just a fat finger? And that's within seconds. And Trading News right away said there's talks about buyout. And so first thing I do, I look at the source to see how relevant or serious that is. It is, and then uh, based on who could be. If it's like CNBC, it can have legs. A lot of times CNBC come up with something and turns out to be um, false, which I'm gonna give another example of one that didn't worked, but CNBC wasn't right. And But depend if it's just like chatter or a blog on seeking alpha, then I take with of course grain of salt. I take as much as I can on that move, but if something that seems relevant, and especially if the headline says the companies are in talk, then I give a little bit or more weight, and I just let it run, because if it's a buyout and it's true, you're looking for a premium, most of the time. So I want to get as close as possible to the premium instead of just getting out for 30, 40, 50 cents, $1 just because I think is going fast on some chat room pump or whatever. And yeah, actually, there's substance for the move. And Trading News right there on my back helping me out to figure that out. One example I was mentioning about CNBC, and I'm not editing this, guys, so I'm bang, bang, bang. I have my notes here. So if there's a couple of or silence for a second, choose because I'm having a glass of water, okay? So, for example, let me go to the example that I said about buyout that it came on Trading News. Juniper, a few weeks ago, it just took off. It started to go up $1, $2, and there's talks that are supposed to have a buyout for whatever. So I didn't take the long. I wasn't on my desk when it happened. But I think Juniper was like, let me take a quick look on the daily chart here, just to see around when that happened. 29. Oh, I just thought about another one too. That's pretty awesome. Okay, no, let me write a note or I'm gonna forget. I start talking about something else and then I might forget. So I just thought about another one too. I just love Trading News, guys, and a lot of friends of mine that use been used for as long as I have. They ask me, "Why are you sharing all this? Why are you telling people so?" It doesn't matter. These stocks are not like the stocks that trades 10,000 shares to 20,000 shares. These are liquid, normal, regular trading stocks. So it doesn't matter if 10 people know or 1,000 people know. It's in the plus different people are going to have different ways to break down the news. Some people are going to think it's nonsense. They're just going to start to fade right away, and some other people may like, and it's just a matter of time. Get used to the headlines, what they mean, and then trade accordingly. On with time, you see what works, the way it works, and the way normally it doesn't. So Juniper, he was running 1, 2, 3 points, and I didn't take the long because again I wasn't here. So I'm sitting here after the close, and my gosh, I just thought another one. Oh, my. I'm telling you guys, this is just awesome. Okay. Um, so after hours, market close was like 6, 7 o'clock Eastern time, and I'm just walking around the house, and Trading News is on. The office is like a little far away from everybody, but I still can hear. It's like there's a part of you that is always on when you trade from home. And I just hear trading news saying, "Oh, the company denies a buyout," and that was Juniper. It's whoever was supposed to buy Juniper. I don't remember if it was Toshiba or something like that. It denies there was even talks to buy Juniper at all. So I got to my office. I literally did. I would have beaten Usain Bolt on the run to my desk, and I just grabbed my mouse. I pulled Juniper up, and it was down. It closed like plus $3 from the close, right? And there was still buyers plus two from where it started to run. So minus $1 from close, but plus $2 still from where the run started about the buyout. And might have been plus 4 or 5, but I don't remember exactly, but something like that. So I just started to slam it. I mean, the whole point for the stock to move that much was because there was the reason of the buyout. If the company that was supposed to buy said we have no interest, we don't even talk to to them at all about this, and I'm pretty sure it was Toshiba. You know what? I can just come back here and do a quick search. How's that? Pa, 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 pa. Okay, just bear with me, okay, because that was a while ago, and I have to. There you go. There it goes, right here, right there. Perfect. It was November 29th at 7 p.m. Right there. Nokia responds to media reports. Not in talks with Juniper, nor is preparing an offer. Boom. Adios. Goodbye. Grazie. So there's no reason for Juniper to be up 2-3 from that closing price, right? So I'm just bang, 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 slamming. And there was someone, Santa Claus, I don't know who was, but the guy just kept refreshing. I don't know if it was a fund that was trying to get more shares because they thought the buyout was going to happen, or someone that was short that had to be out just in case. But the guy was just taking a lot of shares, and I just kept hitting him. And then once he was done, he was done. He came down 1, 2 points really fast, and I covered all. I didn't even wait for next day. I was like, I'm just take whatever, that point and a half plus, and I moved on. And that was right there on Trade News. I mean, that was just right there. Trade News, right on that trade, paid for itself for years, right? And then I think it was right in November as well. We had what, guys? AMD. Everybody remember AMD, right? We're in the room, and comes a headline: the AMD was going to supply chips for Tesla. AMD was like $12, or let me go back to that headline because that was one of my best trades for the year last year. And let's see, when was it? It was November, December. Yeah. Da, 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 da. There you go, right there. AMD. And this trade was beautiful in two ways because we made money both sides. You guys remember that, right? Everybody that's excuse me, stock traders on that. Right there, you see? Just before the close, 6 minutes before the close, we get the headline. And not just a headline, Trading News talking about it. And AMD takes high on report working with Tesla on AI chip or self-driving cars. So what did I do? It was AMD. You can buy a million shares and it's not going to move 5-10 cents. So the volume right there when the headline hits was massive. I bought all I wanted, all I could have bought, and it went up just 4 or 5 cents from where it was trading. And then it took off. That was 9/20th. You know what? Let me go ahead and do a quick look on the chart. September 20th. You went from 1280 to 1420s. So you went I bought, I think it was 1280, 1270, 1280, and went to after hours to almost $15. It went up almost over $2 on that headline, right? Just pretty much let's say $2. But remember, this is a stock that I bought all the shares I wanted on that headline, and I was buying at the price that was moving. Of course, there was so much volume that the thing it took a while to move. But a lot of times with trading news, we have to realize also we get the news so far ahead than so many people that a lot of people have no idea what's going on. So you have plenty of time. Sometimes I get into a trade and I take the trade based on what I hear on trading news, and nothing happens for 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 minutes, and I'm like, oh man, I think I got a dude. No, how to say dud? I got a dude. Uh, uh, I got a dud. This no, there's nothing going on. And then I looked everywhere, and Twitter, people are like, oh, what, is there any news? And uh, and then yeah, yeah, and you guys know me. I don't go and post on Twitter. Or, well, I'm not a pumper. I don't buy something and then start to spread the news because it's I don't do that. So, but whoever's in the room, I'm talking real time. Whoever trades the news knows in real time what's going on, right? So, took that trade, got all the way to 14, $15, and then what happened next morning? The CEO or someone uh, I think it was someone in India or something like that, said that wasn't going to happen. And then we took the short at 14.50 and rolled all the way down again to $13. That was just like a dream. Didn't have to do anything else for the rest of that month if you don't want to. And was right there ahead of time. And by ahead of time, I mean ahead of the whole crowd. We had this news. We don't have to have something like this every day. If you have once a month, once every 3 months, it makes an immense difference on your portfolio, on your account size, especially if you how comfortable you are based on the news that you get, and if the stock moved or not based on the quality of the type of the news that came out. If you get pretty much before it moved, you have such an edge over everyone else that it's unbelievable. It's so great. So, and with that comes down to how about when the stock already moved, right? Sometimes the news comes in, and for whatever reason, the thing already moved a little bit. So what I like to do, I wait for a retrace. So let's say stocks at 30. So some buyout news and seems pretty relevant. You take a look. That we're going to trading part now, so it's a little bit off topic. But let's say it went from 30 to 32. Again, you look at the headline. You're not in because when you looked, it was already 31.10, 31.50, and moved to 32. But you look at the source. If the source seems to be reliable, you buy a retracement. It comes back to 31, you take it along at 31 and ride back up to see if it retests the high, right? But at least you know what you're doing. It's not like the stock going to go from 30 to 32 and then back down to 30 um, as soon as the news come out. So you just trade that retracement because you know what is going on, um, the reason behind the move, right? So, and that goes like for Citron research too. I like Citron and their other services out there, not services, other groups out there that when they have something negative or positive about stock, they come out and put out on Twitter on their website, right? So, and a lot of times when it comes out, the stock already moved. Let's say if it's a negative piece, the stock already moved down quite a bit. But there's still, then you have the second wave, right? The people that follow these guys on Twitter, they go and pile in and into the short. I normally, unless, which is rare, unless I get the news and right away I see the stock didn't move yet, then I jump in. But if it did, same thing. I just wait for the stock to retrace at least 50%. And remember, it's very important. You always have to be aware to make sure it is not like a rerun of a piece maybe something that one of these, let's say Citron, already mentioned in the past, and now he's just talking again about it. Right, it's pretty much the same thing. I already moved in past. So what I do, I just go on the daily chart. I take a quick look to see if had any, mentioned these stocks in the past. You just put the ticker there, like I think Citron, their Williams Sonoma, they're negative on WSM, something like that. So you just go back, or it's Wayfair, Wayfair. Oh, and by the way, something else too. I just thought every time you do a search on a ticker, it tells you the stocks that are actually the competitors that are relevant to that specific company. So, for example, when we talk about, I was just saying, for example, WSM, it tells you all the other companies that are pretty much in the same sector and could be movers also based on the news that their stock is releasing, like Bed Bath and Beyond, Target, Kohl's, Pier 1, JCPenney, Sears, and so on, right? So let me take a quick look here on Citron, on W, which is Wayfair, right? Is that right? Let me make sure I'm not saying anything. Yeah, that's right. And I can be wrong here, but let me take a quick look. Anyways, I think and excuse me if I'm getting the wrong ticker here. I mean the wrong company regarding to Citron, but they um tend to come back and make a few extra comments about these stocks. They're negative. Oh, they're right there. See, Citron rated negative comments. See, right there. Boom. Reiterates negative comments. A lot of times, people see Citron is negative on Wayfair. Oh, let's take a short. And this thing just slams, but they don't realize that it's being talked already in the past. So the effect is not going to be as strong as it is when there's the first piece, the first hit piece. So if it comes down too much, and by too much, you can tell it goes back to a previous area that looked like it was pretty good support. If it's the first time that hits, it normally goes right through. If it's second, third time, it holds right there. So I look to buy these areas just for the people that don't have trading news or don't check the news, just follow on Twitter. They don't know that the company was mentioned prior, right? So this is a great example right here. So that's another point I wanted to make. Let me take a look. Few months ago, when there was a lot of talk between North Korea and Trump, that North Korea was testing intercontinental ballistic missiles. It's the ITCB, M, or whatever. Um, the market will just take a huge, huge drop after hours. And it happened about 3, 4 times. They came and the news came up, and if you trade futures, the NQ will drop a good 30, 40, 50 points in a matter of minutes. SPY will do, and pretty much all the high flyers, the other stocks will do too. So what I like to do, I have a market mind, like a minder with probably about 40 or 50 stocks that I call high flyers. And anytime something like this happened, I hear like some major event, like someone that works with the Trump administration was fired or quit, especially if he quits. Then I just pull this high flyer and I see the futures coming down. I pull the high flyer list and it's linked to my level 2. I just keep clicking anything that's close to the closing price. And as long as there's no earnings report coming up and nothing major, I just go and I take a trade on the short side if I can take it as close as possible to the closing price on these high flyers. So it's just like a low edge. A lot of people have the order just live live and they live for the day and the order is there. So it's just like money to be picked up, right? So that's another way. And this is just a few of ideas that I do. Again, I've been trading for so long that there's so many that I don't even think about it. But if I run into this situation, it just pops up in my mind. But I'm trying to share with all of you the kind of the ones that are very, very relevant. So, or the ones I can remember. Anyways, so about the buyouts, I want to talk about just one more. And this one was just awesome and it happened a couple of months ago. It was PayPal. right? PayPal had announced earnings. That was about 3, 4 weeks ago, and announced earnings, and everything was fine. It was coming down a little bit. Was it like down maybe $1 from the closing price? And then let me find here the headline. Uh, then the sky fell. This headline came up. eBay was dropping PayPal as a payment processing company. And that's not good news for any company, especially one that has eBay as their primary, one of the primary sources of revenues, right? So PayPal was announced earnings. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it had earnings. That there it goes right here, and wasn't bad. It was actually kind of flattish. So because the guidance was a little low, so it was like down -1 from the closing price. But when Trading News said this, same thing, and I was sitting here. So I pull up PayPal and it's minus. There's the buyers -1 uh, um, from closing price, and sellers minus. I don't know. It's just it was trading below closing price, but not more than dollar 50. Same thing as with Juniper. This is not good news for any company. And so what I did, I just started slamming PayPal. Unfortunately, Santa wasn't on that day, like on Juniper, but it still was able to get I think 7,000 shares, and this thing came down 4 or 5 points in minutes. And of course, I didn't get out all at the bottom, but I tiered my covers all the way down. But that was an awesome trade. And again, Trading News paid for itself for years in just that one single trade. And if I have to go through all of them, it's impossible because there's so many. I mean, literally so many. But this stand out because it was really like whoever was sitting there with the bids on, they didn't know what's going on. They're just sitting there. Oh, I don't want to
Corporate
spend.
bond market.
Oh,
Shoot
they're
Retail
talking
at
now.
9 West said to skip a March 15th bond payment.
Okay, they just talk for a minute. I'm gonna put on mute so I can keep going. So a lot of times because someone doesn't want to spend an X amount of money to have, which is like what, $7 a day, $10 a day. No, not even that. It costs you thousands because in missing opportunities or lost money because you can hit a stock that you in and you don't even know what's going on. I know I've been doing this for a long time, and I know some guys that they're like just great at trading. They trade really heavy, and now it's not that I convinced them. I think with time they just realized that it didn't make any sense for them not to have. But some of these guys, they traded for 20 years and they didn't have any news sources. And every time something would come up, they will ask me. They'll say, "Hey, can you check really fast?" And it got to the point I was like, "Let me trade it first, and I tell you because it doesn't make any sense for $250 a month to not have it. 200 to $300 a month, whereas I paid 350 a month, and then but that's another story. But now I have a discount. So with stocktraders.net, we were able to get like a group community discount. So now I pay 275 a month, and I paid for the year, so it's like 250 a month or something like that. We did the discount or something like that. So, but yeah, so right there with the discount I got getting through our website, it was even better, which was something that I didn't have any problem paying 350 a month to start with. So that's how I trade the news based. I'm going through my notes here, so excuse me for a moment. Okay, so now, oh, okay, small caps, especially pre-market and sometimes after hours too. Actually, there was one after hours like 3, 4 weeks ago that MBRX or something like that. He has some news. Same thing. It was like, let me take a quick look. It was like $2 or something. I think I bought 185. Yeah, yeah. It's right there. It was February 14th. I bought on 185 after the close. Let me take a look what happened, what news was, because of course I don't remember. Right there. Excuse me. No, it was pre-market. Sorry, right there. So they came up, MBRX, I pull up, seller at 186, 185, and I was like, oh, is this nonsense? I bought anyways. And went, if you take a look at the chart, it went all the way up to 332. And I bought a 185, 187. It went to 332. Of course, I didn't sell 332, but it's right there. And so the most important thing with these small caps, pre-market or after hours, is to be aware of the news. As long as there's something like, let's take this example on MBRX, right? Um, and also breakthrough, it's not bad. You know, a lot of these guys just gonna be blowing smoke anyways, right? But again, they don't have a big float and a lot of people follow this. So if there's anything that seems even close to being relevant, which MBRX was back down to $2 in 2 3 days after that. So uh, obviously wasn't, especially because they had the offering next day. So a great timing. It's just amazing how amazing the timing is for this, how the coincidence, isn't it? So, anyways, I took it along and ran, and the RKDA a couple days ago, it was closed $11, 11.70 or so. News came up. There was a seller 12.80. I'm very embarrassed to say that I bought at 12.80 and I sold at $15 and went to $60. I'm not saying that happens every day, but Madonna Santa, give me a break. Are you serious? Look at that right there, 8 o'clock. And I read the headline. I thought, oh man, this is so stupid. I'm going to lose money on this trade. And I'm paying up $1 from the closing price. But nope. You know what? It went to 14th. You went to $55. And again, this is crazy. This is extremely unusual. Very small float. But it was right there on the news. So just need to be fast, but you need to be careful because as long as the risk on RKDA, what was my risk? About a dollar, right? I pay up $1 from closing price. But if it's a stock like MBRX that closes at 180, I'm not gonna buy at 250 unless it's like something major, or they get royalties from Merck, or and whatever something, and I take a quick look at Finviz or on the widgets that we have on our platform, and I see how much money they bring in revenues, and let's say they bring 10 million, and then they get some royalty from Merck and some major other pharmaceutical company for the same amount or two, three times, then of course I'm going to pay up 10-20% from the closing price. Otherwise, no, I just, if it's close to closing price, risk is very small. Then yes, I take the trade on the long side. So small caps, always be careful. Make sure you do not pay up more than a certain percentage of the price. And of course, you need to kind of break down how relevant any news are. And again, this needs to be done really fast because you have a lot of people out there that be looking at the same thing as you. And but RKDA, I'd say I had a good 45 seconds to go over and think, and then it started to go up. I was like, I can't believe it's up $1.50, $2. This is crazy. I'm taking my profit. And then um, hours later, it was $50. It's just like so surreal. Okay, so. And the last point I want to talk about is earnings plays. Earnings are extremely dangerous if you don't know exactly what you're looking for. So everything that I'm sharing here, it's based on my own experience, how I trade, and it's not like I realized or I read this somewhere or I just came out of thin air and I started doing. Right? It's something that with after months and years of watching the setups, it, I saw that worked. Then I start trading in small, and as I felt more comfortable, I start raising size on this, right? So on earnings, the way I like to play, I give I'm gonna give one example, maybe two. Urban. The most recent one was DDD. Okay, it was a couple days ago. They announced earnings after hours. So let me do two things. First, I'm gonna put DDD right here, right? And this light area of the chart is pre-market, and this here you can tell by the time is after hours, right? After 4 p.m. Eastern time. So let me move DDD here for a moment, and I'm gonna do a search. So I'm sitting here after the close. DDD announced the earnings report on the 14th, which was 2 days ago, and these are the numbers. That's not bad, right? Um, Reports 5 cents versus 177 million versus 161. So that's actually pretty good. So I pull DDD up, and I see that it closed around 12.15, 12.17, and it moved to, it was like 13.20, 13.30, right? So I'm like, huh, that's a pretty good move. But then it can be two things. I remember because, again, I've been doing this for so long that I remember a lot of companies and what happened prior and so on. But even if I didn't, going back to trading news, if you just scroll your eyes all the way down here, which is what, 2 weeks prior, look at that. They already had that's a hard one for me, preliminary reports. So they already pre-announced. So I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Let's see what they pre-announced and let's see what they actually came up with on these earnings, right? So uh, 325 and revenue 176, 178. So what they reported on the 14th, 5, which was within range 3 to 5, and what revenues 177, which is the range that they said they would be announcing on 176, 78. So why? Then my question was, why is AMD up? Everything that happened since 28. Let me go in 30 minutes here and see if I can get from 28. You see this move right here, guys? This is when it was announced after hours, right? 28, 5 p.m., 5:04 p.m. on February 28. See right here? You went from 9 to $11, then came down to 10, then 11, and so on, and then kept going. So my question is, why, after giving exactly the same amount, the same numbers, it moved up again? A whole point and a half. So, bells went off my head, and I was like, no, 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 no. It doesn't make any sense. It's a repeat of the news. There's nothing new. Now, if they came back with a higher number, some miracle happened within 2 weeks, then it's different. But that wasn't the case. So just watching and seeing, to the level, I was looking to short around 1350, and the buyer just kept coming in, coming in, coming in. So I actually started on the I was looking for this area right here and this area right here, right? If you got to $14, you have been paradise. So pretty much I was looking this range, and guys know what I do. I always take the average of the range, right? So around this level, 3040, 3060, I start to show. My average is 1352. And let me go back to 3 minutes. And for some reason, people just kept buying, and I was just shaking my head. I was like, "What's going on? Why?" And eventually, it's setting. I guess people that don't follow the news don't take their time to look down four headlines. No, excuse me, that was here. So one, two, three, yeah, four headlines. Oh, they didn't have the option, because they don't have a news service. They just realized they screwed up, and I was scooping up all the shares I could around this level, and there were quite a few that traded there. So let me see one thing here. Excuse me. Not here, here, here. Okay, let me do this. Okay, We talk about 680,000 shares when here. Oh, that's so beautiful. Okay, let me go back in 1 minute to get the accurate size that traded in a minute. 17,600,000 shares right here with the high at 1354, 30,000 shares here, and 25,000 shares and 17,000. So that's plenty. And I was down on it for a little bit, but I mean the conviction that I had was so strong that I was actually I was so excited. It was so much excitement because I knew it was going to come down. And that was again the 14th. And since then, let me go on 5 minutes here and look what happened since. From this level right here, my average right here, 1352. Look, come back. That's in 2 days, right? So, excuse me. From here was next day the low was 1286, actually 1274, and today, the Friday, the 16th, the low was 1247. So again, I had that conviction because I uh, I knew what I was looking at. So again, and that's 100% thanks to trading news. Okay, this is it. I hope this information was useful to all of you. Come visit us on our website, stocktraders.net. You can register to our chat room through the login area where you can be on the free chat. We can talk about stocks all day long, exchange ideas, and we also have two separate rooms, one for cryptos and another one for futures. If you are interested in trading news from our website on the store area, you can find significant discounts for these trading news services. Is really a great service. And thank you so much for your time, for being here, and happy trading. I see you on the other side. That's stocktraders.net. Bye.